A story of friendship, hope, and new beginnings. My name is Emma Johnson, and I want to tell you a story. At first, it may sound like an ordinary story about losing something. But it turned into something much bigger, something that changed my life. I am a college student in New York City. I study art at university, and every morning I ride the subway to school. Like many students, I carry my world inside my phone, my photographs, my contacts, my class notes, my favorite music playlists, even small sketches that I save as inspiration. That little device held pieces of my memory, my identity, and my daily routine. The Tuesday morning when everything happened began like any other day. I woke up late, already rushing. I brushed my teeth quickly, grabbed my bag, and ran down the street toward the subway station. The sun was already climbing, and the city was awake with its usual noise: car horns, bicycle bells, footsteps on the sidewalks, and people calling to each other in dozens of different languages. By the time I reached the station, I was out of breath. The train had just arrived, and I pushed myself into the crowded car. It was so full that I barely found space near the door. Strangers pressed against me from all sides: a man with a heavy backpack, a woman holding a baby stroller, a group of tourists holding onto the pole with one hand and pointing at the subway map with the other. I always kept my phone in the right pocket of my jacket. That morning, I checked it once to make sure it was there. Then the train lurched forward, carrying me through the dark tunnels toward my stop. When the train finally reached my station, I pushed my way through the crowd. I climbed the stairs, ready to walk to class. And then, without thinking, like a habit, I reached into my pocket. It was empty. At first, I froze. I thought maybe I had put my phone in the wrong pocket. I checked the left one. Nothing. I checked my bag, even though I was sure I hadn't put it there. Still. Nothing. My chest tightened, and my heartbeat sped up. My phone was gone. I stood on the sidewalk above the subway station, staring at my empty hands. My heart felt heavy, and my stomach dropped. In 1 second, everything I carried inside that phone, my photos, my messages, my music, my art, was lost. I rushed back down the subway stairs, hoping, desperately, that maybe my phone had just slipped onto the platform. My shoes clattered against the metal steps as I ran, my bag bumping against my shoulder. But when I reached the platform, the train was already gone. Only the sound of the rails humming in the distance remained, fading into silence. I looked around quickly, scanning the floor, the benches, the trash bins, anywhere it might have fallen. But there was nothing. Just gum wrappers, newspapers, and the shoes of strangers hurrying to their destinations. Panic started to rise inside me. I felt heat in my face, and my hands trembled. I had always told myself to be careful, to keep my phone safe in crowded places. How could I be so careless? I spotted a uniformed station worker near a booth and rushed over. "Excuse me," I said breathlessly. "I think I just lost my phone on the train. Is there anything I can do?" The man looked at me with tired eyes. His uniform was neat, but his voice carried the kind of exhaustion that comes from answering the same question 100 times a day. "Sorry, miss," he said. "Lost phones are hard to find. Once they're gone on a moving train, it's tricky. You can try the lost and found office, though. Sometimes people return things." His words were polite but not hopeful. Still, I clung to them like a rope. I walked toward the small office at the far end of the station. Inside, a kind-looking older woman sat behind a counter surrounded by boxes and shelves filled with umbrellas, gloves, scarves, water bottles, and random objects of city life. "Hello, dear," she said warmly when she saw me. "What did you lose?" "My phone," I said, almost whispering. "It slipped out of my pocket on the train." She gave me a sympathetic smile and began opening boxes, lifting out items one by one. "No phones today," she said after a few minutes. "But check back tomorrow. Sometimes people are honest. They bring things later." I nodded, but disappointment weighed down my shoulders. Tomorrow felt like forever away. As I left the office, I thought about my phone again, not just as an object, but as a piece of my life. My mother lived in another state, and our daily calls kept me close to her. My best friend studied abroad in Italy, and our late-night video chats were the only way we stayed connected. Losing my phone meant losing those lifelines. Still, I refused to give up. I told myself, I will find it somehow. I walked back up to the street, my eyes darting in every direction, as if the phone might magically appear on the sidewalk. Then a thought struck me: if someone had picked it up, maybe they were trying to return it. All I needed was another phone to call my number. Across the street, I spotted a coffee shop with warm lights glowing through the windows. My throat was dry, and my hope was fading, but I pushed open the door anyway. The smell of roasted coffee beans and fresh pastries wrapped around me like comfort. Behind the counter stood a man with dark hair and a friendly face. His name tag read Carlos. "Hi," I said nervously. "This might sound strange, but, could I use your phone? I lost mine on the subway." Carlos frowned with concern but nodded. "Of course. Here, use the shop phone." He handed it to me. My fingers shook as I dialed my number. The call rang once, twice, 3 times, then went to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. Carlos noticed my expression and asked gently, "What happened?" I explained everything: the crowded train, the empty pocket, the hopeless search. He listened carefully, his brow furrowed as if my problem were his own. When I finished, he leaned on the counter and said, "You know what? My nephew works for the subway system. Maybe he can help you." "Really?" I asked, surprised. Carlos nodded. "He's in the control room. They've got cameras everywhere. If your phone was taken, maybe they caught it on video." Hope sparked in me for the first time that day. Carlos dialed his nephew's number. After a short conversation in Spanish, he hung up and smiled. "His name is Alex. He'll meet you here after work." I felt my heart lift. Maybe this wasn't the end of my phone, or my day that evening. I returned to the coffee shop to meet Carlos's nephew. The sun was setting outside, and the city glowed with golden light. People hurried past the windows, carrying shopping bags, briefcases, or simply their tired bodies after a long day. Inside the shop, the smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Carlos was behind the counter, arranging pastries in the glass case. He looked up when he saw me and gave a reassuring smile. "Emma, come sit," he said warmly. "Alex should be here any minute." I chose a small table near the window, my bag sitting on my lap like a shield. My heart raced with nervous anticipation. Would Alex really be able to help? What if the camera showed nothing? Or worse, what if someone had already stolen my phone and sold it? The bell above the door jingled, and in walked a young man in his 20s. He had short brown hair, a clean shirt, and a kind, open expression. His eyes scanned the room until Carlos waved him over. "Emma, this is my nephew Alex," Carlos said proudly. "He works in the subway control room." Alex shook my hand firmly. His smile was warm, the kind that made you feel you were in safe company. "Carlos told me about your phone," he said. "I'm sorry that happened. The subway can be a tough place." "Thank you for coming," I said, my voice softer than I intended. "I know it's just a phone, but it feels like losing part of my life." Alex nodded with understanding. "I get it. Phones hold everything now. Memories, connections, even your work. Let's see if we can track it down." My heart leapt with hope. "But I'll need details," he added. "Do you remember the time, the train line, what car you were in? Anything you can recall might help." I tried to think carefully. It was the downtown 6 train, around 9:10 in the morning. I was near the door, wearing a green jacket. The train was packed, people were pushing from all sides. Alex scribbled notes on a small pad. "That's good. We can narrow it down." He looked at his watch. "My shift is over in half an hour. If you don't mind waiting, I'll take you to the control room afterward." We can check the recordings together. I blinked in surprise. You mean, you'd actually let me see? He chuckled softly. Normally, it's not allowed. But since you're the owner and it's your personal property, I can make an exception. Carlos, listening from behind the counter, chimed in, see? I told you Alex would help. For the first time that day, a genuine smile spread across my face. Thank you, I said to both of them. Really? I don't know what I'd do without your kindness. Alex shrugged modestly. It's nothing. Sometimes the city feels too big, too cold. But helping each other makes it smaller, warmer. Those words stuck with me.